ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, thank you for coming। ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। Today we are on Sidh Goshat class number 17 and we are going to be doing pauri number 30. The first verse of pauri number 30, Gurmukh Pyareo, is Gurmukh Dharti Sache Saji, and the translation given to us by Sidh Singh MD is on your screen, and it reads, "The true Lord fashioned the earth for the sake of the Gurmukhs." So the critique that we can offer to this translation given to us is, firstly, Gurmukh is mistranslated as an individual or a person or groups of people. The true Lord fashioned the earth for the sake of Gurmukhs. So Gurmukhs here is mistranslated as individual or person or a group of people. Secondly, the true Lord, Sache, is mistranslated literally as true. The third critique that we can offer is that the true Lord fashioned the earth for the sake of Gurmukhs. So the question then is, what about the rest of us who are non-Gurmukhs? Wasn't the earth fashioned by the true Lord for all of us as well? And finally, critique number 4 that we can make is that there has been a rich context running from paurees 26 to 30, and that has been the spirituality of the Shabd. So that was the context, spirituality of Shabd, and that has largely been ignored in this translation given to us. So Gurmukh Pyareo, let's look at the verse and look at the words and the concepts one by one first, before we put it all together to provide for proper meaning or an acceptable meaning of this verse, Gurmukh Dharti Sache Saji. The word Gurmukh has a sihari to the kakha, so that means the meaning of the word Gurmukh with a sihari is from within the Guru's mind. Messages within the Shabad. Now those messages that come out or that emanate from within the Guru's mind are all contained for us within the Shabad. So we put it all together, the meaning of Gurmukh therefore is spirituality of the Shabad. Now Dharti, the second word, literally means the earth, but specifically because we are talking about creation here, and this paurees here, paurees 30 odd words, 30, 31, 32 will all be talking about the concept of creation in Guru Nanak's Sikhi. So Dharti here refers to all of creation on earth. It refers to our abode, or it refers to our planet as a whole. Sache refers to the creator, and Saji refers to the process of creation, or in other words, the creation that was created. So if we put it all together, Gurmukh Pyareo, then the meaning of this verse is as follows. Gurmukh Dharti Sache Saji means the spirituality of the Shabad, Gurmukh, accords the entirety of creation, Dharti Sache Saji, to the creator. So that's the meaning of the verse. The spirituality of the Shabd accords the entirety of creation to the creator. Now there's an overall context to this pauri, which is that this verse and the verses that will follow through are actually being uttered by Guru Nanak Padsha in response to the Sidh practice of selective physical renunciation. So they had accepted certain aspects of creation or certain parts of creation to be positive, to be promoting their spirituality, but at the same time they had made this decision that certain parts of the creation were obstacles to the process of spirituality. So that is what is meant by a selective physical renunciation. They selected certain parts of the creation and they renounce certain parts of the creation. So this is a response by Guru Nanak Padsha in saying that Gurmukh Dharti Sache Saji, the spirituality of the Shabd, accords the entirety of creation to the creator. So there can be no selective acceptance or selective renunciation. The next verse in this pauri is Tesme opata kapata so baji, and the translation that is given to us is there he set in motion the play of creation and destruction. So we can offer two types of critique to this translation in our effort to improve on it, to make it better. Number one, Baji is being literally translated as set in motion the play. Creation is not a play from the Sikhi point of view. And secondly, creation and destruction is real in Sikhi. So these are the two critiques that we can offer to this translation. So let's first of all look at all the individual words and concepts that are in this verse before we put them all together to come up with an acceptable understanding or meaning of this verse. Tesme means within it. Now because the previous verse talked about creation, therefore the it here refers to creation, within it or within creation, Tesme. Opat literally is the starting point of something, but since here we are talking about creation, the process of creation or to create is the starting point of creation. Therefore, Opat means create, Kapat is the end point literally, therefore in the context of creation, the end point of creation is destruction. So Opat is create, Kapat is destruct. So refers to off, and Baji literally is to place a bet, from the word Baji Launi. We use this as an idiom in Punjabi, Baji Launi. In other words, it simply means investing one's trust and confidence. So when we place a bet on something, on some position, then what we are actually doing is we are investing our money, we are also investing our trust and confidence that we will emerge winners in this bet that we have just placed. So Baji Launi is to place a bet or to invest one's trust and confidence in the bet that we have placed. So now let's put it all together, Gurmukh Pyareo, and this is the meaning of the verse. Tesme opat khapat so Baji translates as the creator is invested in the entirety of his creation from its beginning to its end. The blue, the entirety of, is coming from the preceding verse in which Guru Nanak Pasha says Gurmukh Tarti Sache Saji. In other words, the spirituality of the Shabad accords the entirety of creation to the creator. So it cannot be therefore considered a play because the creator is invested. The creator is invested because the creator is the force behind the entirety of its creation from the beginning point to the end point of creation. So let's move on to the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Gurke Shabad Rappe Rangalai. The translation that's given to us is one who is filled with the word of the Guru's Shabad and shrines love for the Lord. So this is the critique that we can offer. Filled with the word of the Guru's Shabad. Now this looks or appears to be verbiage and therefore it needs clarifying. So let's look at the words one by one, the concepts that are used in this beautiful verse before we can put them all together to come up with the complete meaning of the complete verse. Gurke Shabad refers to the messages of the Guru's Shabad. It means the spirituality of the Shabad. So there is essentially little difference between the word Gurmukh, which was from the Guru's mind or the spirituality of the Shabad, and this string of words here, or this phrase over here, which is Gurke Shabad. So Gurke Shabad also refers to spirituality of the Shabad, the messages of the Guru's Shabad. Rappe translates as imbue or imbued, Rang is a word in Gurbani that is used for the concept of love, and Lai, it means instill, or it means infuse or infused. So we put it all together. The meaning of the verse Gur ka Shabd Rappa Rang Lai is as follows: the messages of the Guru's Shabd instill love for the entirety of his creation. So you can see in blue, now this verse merely says Gur ke Shabd Rappa Rang Lai, the messages of the Guru Shabd instill love. Love for what? We have to go back into the context which is provided in the previous two verses. Tismai Opat Khapta Sobaji, the previous verse, Creator is invested in the entirety of his creation. And the overall context is also coming as a response to the practice of selective physical renunciation. So the Creator created the entire creation, the Creator is invested in the entirety of creation, and the messages of the Guru Shabd instill love for the Sikh for the entirety of the creation as well. Let's move on to the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Sach rato pat syon kar jaye. And the translation that is given to us is attuned to the truth, he goes to his home with honor. Now we can offer 3 levels of critique to this translation in our effort to improve on it, to make it better. So the first question is, when he says he goes to his home, now the question is, who is the he in the statement he goes home? Second, as usual, such as truth is literally translated. Such refers to the Creator, it does not refer to truth. Now the third critique is kar. He goes to his home. So kar is being translated as home. Kar as home is literal translation. We would have to dig deeper into Gurbani to come up with an acceptable definition or translation of the word kar in the spiritual sense of the word. So let's now, Pyareo, look at the concepts and the words one by one. Sach rato pat syon kar jaye. Sach refers to the Creator. Rato is in realization of. Such which rat jana, it means to come into realization of the Creator. Pat syon translates as dignified. Pat in normal usage dictionary term refers to dignity, ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਜ਼ਤ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Kar refers to mind as the abode of spirituality, mind as the place where spirituality comes to reside. And jai literally is go, but because the context of this verse is pat, dignity, so therefore jai would refer to the process of earning dignity. So earned, yeah, that's the meaning of the word jai, because it is with reference to the concept of pat or dignity. So let's now put it all together and see if we can come up with a complete understanding of this verse. Sach rato pat syon kar jaye translates as spiritual dignity is earned in the realization of the Creator as being invested in the entirety of his creation from its beginning to its end. So the blue is the context from the previous 3 verses. Being invested in the entirety of his creation from the beginning to an end, being the source of the Creator in his entirety from beginning to an end. These concepts, these spiritual concepts are coming from the previous 3 verses that we've already discussed. So now we are trying to put it into this verse, Sach rato pat syon kar jaye. Spiritual dignity is earned in the realization of the Creator in a certain context, and that context is as being invested in the entirety of his creation from the beginning to an end. So the question is, how does one earn dignity and respect from the Creator? we cannot be earning dignity and respect from the Creator if we chose to reject parts of His creation and accept parts of His creation. We cannot also earn dignity and respect in the eyes of the Creator if we chose to believe in certain aspects of creation and not in other aspects of creation. We cannot also be expecting to earn dignity in the eyes of the Creator if we believed and accepted that certain aspects of creation were impediments to spirituality, be obstacles to spirituality, or certain parts of creation were hindrances to our spiritual journeys. So that would not earn us the respect. So Guru Nanak Pasha is saying that we have to accept the entirety of creation to be belonging to the Creator, and that the inward Creator is actually invested in the entirety of His creation from the beginning to its end. Let's move on to the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Sach Shabad bin Pat nahi paave. The translation given to us is, without the true word of the Shabad, no one receives honor. So this is the critique. The true word of the Shabad again comes across as verbiage. It therefore needs clarifying. Such is being mistranslated as true. Such refers to the Creator. So let's look at the words or the concepts in this verse one by one. Sach Shabad refers to the Creator connecting Shabad. In other words, O Shabad jehड़ा सच दे नाल जोड़दा, O Shabad jehड़ा करते दे नाल जोड़दा, that is the meaning of Sach Shabad. There are many types of Shabad, but the Shabad that Guru Nanak Pasha is talking about is a certain kind of Shabad, a Shabad with a certain characteristic, a certain capacity, a certain capability, and that capability and capacity, its ability to connect the mind of the Sikh to the Creator. So that is the meaning of Sach Shabad, Creator connecting Shabad. In other words, it refers to the spirituality of the Shabad. Ben means without or sense. Pat, again the same word from the previous verse, spiritual dignity, dignity in the eyes of the Creator within us. Nahi pave means that spiritual dignity is not earned. So this is the meaning of the entire verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Sach Shabad bin Pat nahi pave means spiritual dignity cannot be obtained without the enlightenment that the Creator is invested in the entirety of His creation as provided by the spirituality of the Shabad. The blue is coming from the previous verses. The rest of it is the translation of this verse, Sach Shabad bin Pat nahi pave. Let's move on to the final verse of this body. Nanak bin nave kyo sach samave. And the translation that's given to us in our book from Sant Singh MD is, O Nanak, without the name, how can one be absorbed in the truth? So let's look at three critiques that we can think of. Number one, Naam as name is a literal translation. Secondly, Sach as truth is also a literal translation. And thirdly, we are not clear about what is the meaning of absorbed in the truth. So this one needs clarifying, it needs further exploration. So Pyareo, let's look at the words, the concepts of this verse one by one. Nanak, we understand, this is Nanak's pronouncement, this is Nanak's spirituality being expressed for us, for our benefit. Ben means sense or without. Nave refers to godly virtues. Now in the case of this body, we are discussing very specific virtues of the Creator, and that virtue is that He is invested entirely in the entirety of His creation. So that's the body specific virtue that is being discussed in this body. So that is how we will understand, or we will translate Nave in this verse, that is the virtue that he is invested in the entirety of his creation. Kyo is how, Sach is the creator, Samave means to realize. So realization of the creator within. This is what the meaning of the final verse of pauri number 30 is. Nanak bin nave kyon sach samave translates as Nanak, without realizing his virtues as being invested in the entirety of his creation, how can I realize the creator? In other words, the point being stressed in this verse or in this entire pauri is that one cannot pick and choose and be selective about accepting certain aspects of creation and renouncing certain parts of creation as being obstacles or hindrances in the path of one's spirituality. So we have to realize his virtue, the creator's virtue, as being invested in the entirety of the creation. Now without realizing this virtue, Guru Nanak Pasha is telling us it is not possible for us to realize the creator. Let's move on to pauri 31, Gurbakh Pyareo. The first verse of pauri 31 is Gurmukha Ashta Siddhi Sab Buddhi. And the translation given to us by Sant Singh MD is the Gurbakh obtains the 8 miraculous spiritual powers and all wisdom. So Ashta Siddhi is being translated as 8 miraculous spiritual powers. So let's look at the critique first of all. Gurbakh is being wrongly translated. Gurbakh with a Syari does not refer to persons, a person or a group of people. Secondly, Ashta Siddhi as 8 miraculous powers, literal translation. These powers are not the concern of Guru Nanak's Sikhi, they are not the concern of us as Guru Nanak's Sikhs as well. So we have to understand the context in which Ashta Siddhi is being used. And thirdly, that Ashta Siddhi is actually a yogi or a Siddha concept, and that part, that Ashta Siddhi is a yogi or a Siddha concept, must be understood in this translation. Now, there is something that we need to understand about Ashta Siddhi and other similar concepts, Pyareo. Whenever concepts from the old canvas, what I mean by the old canvas is the Vedic canvas. So when Vedic concepts or Vedic terms are used in the Sikh Guru Granth Sahib Ji, used in the Gurbani, they are sometimes used as in their original form and sometimes used as in the redefined form. So we have to be clear about whether Guru Nanak Pacha or any of the other gurus are using the Vedic concept in the original form or they are being used as a redefined form. So why would Guru Nanak want to use, or any of the other gurus want to use them, these concepts, in their original form, when Gurbani wants to critique or to reject or to explain the futility of these concepts from the Gurmat point of views, then Gurbani would interpret them in the original context, to refute them, to reject them, to critique them. Now, when Gurbani wants to accept or to use that similar concept in the Gurmat point of view, from the Gurbani context, from the Gurbani point of view, then Gurbani would use it in the redefined form. So let me give an example. The concept of Tirath. Now this is a concept of the old canvas. So Guru Nanak and the other gurus would use Tirath in the original sense to reject it, to critique it, or to say that this is not acceptable in the Gurmat philosophy or Gurmat point of view. Now Gurbani would also use Tirath in a redefined and acceptable way. So let's look at the verses and then see whether we can make out where Guru Nanak is using or the other gurus are using Tirath in the original sense to reject, to critique, and where the Gurbani is using Tirath in a redefined sense to accept and make it part and parcel of Sikhi. So when Gurbani says Navan challe tirthi ban khote tan chor, now here Guru Nanak is actually rejecting the whole business of going to a Tirath to cleanse ourselves of our sins. Navan challe tirthi man khote tan chor, or Tirth Nama Jetis Pava. In other words, Guru Nanak is saying, I am not going to partake in that kind of Tirath cleansing. So that is being used in the original context, and then it is being critiqued, it is being rejected. Or when Gurbani says Tirth Tap Daya Datadan Jeko Pave Tilka Man. So that Tirath here is being used in the original context and it is being rejected, it is being critiqued. Now, however, there are other verses in which the word Tirath is used, but it is used not to reject and not to critique, but to redefine. And the redefined concept of Tirath is being accepted. For instance, Tirath Navan Jao Tirath Naam Hai. So here, Tirath Naam Hai is a redefinition of the original concept of Tirath, that for Sikhs, Tirath is actually virtues of the Creator. Tirath Naam Hai. And this is the kind of Tirath in which the Sikh should be doing his cleansing. The cleansing of the mind is done through the acquisition of virtues. Tirath Navan Jao Tirath Naam Hai. So this is something we need to understand, that sometimes concepts are used in the original sense to critique or to reject or to point out the futility. Sometimes the same concepts are used in a redefined form in Gurbani, and those are the accepted concepts or the accepted words, but they are accepted concepts only in the redefined sense. So let's look at the words of this verse one by one. Gurmukh, as we have already understood, from within the Guru's mind, because it is a Sihari, messages that emanate from the Guru's mind, messages that are contained within the Shabad, in other words, the spirituality of the Shabad. Ashtasiddhi, literally it refers to the 8 powers, but in this context, Guru Nanak Pasha is talking about the ultimate objective of the Yoga Mat. So Guru Nanak is telling them that you have already indicated to me that this is the ultimate objective of your spirituality, so I will now refer to them as the ultimate objective of Yoga Mata. Sab, it means complete. Buddhi refers to awareness, Buddhi refers to the reality of it all. So let's put it together, Gurmukh Pyareo, and see if we can come up with one complete sentence to understand this verse. Gurmukh Ashta Siddhi Sab Buddhi translates as the spirituality of the Shabad provides complete reality relating to the ultimate objective of Yoga Mat. The Ashtasiddhi is the ultimate objective, and Guru Nanak is now going to provide the reality. So where is the reality? The reality of the Ashtasiddhi, the reality of the ultimate objective of Yoga Mat. In other words, is this a true reality or is this a superficial reality? Is this an attainable reality? Is it a reality that one should be pursuing? So put it all together, that means the reality of the ultimate objective. So what is the reality of it? Padsha is saying that is to be found in the messages that are contained within the Shabad. So that is why this verse is translated as the spirituality of the Shabad provides complete reality relating to the ultimate objective of Yoga Mat. So what is the reality? The answer is going to be provided by Guru Nanak Padsha in the next verse. Gurmukh Pavajal Tarya Sach Sudhi. The translation given to us, let's look at that first. The Gurmukh crosses over the terrifying world ocean and obtains true understanding. Now, the critique is that Gurmukh has been wrongly translated. So let's look at all the words and the concepts one by one. Gurmukh again, spirituality of the Shabad. Pavjal literally refers to the ocean. However, in the context of these verses, what needs to be attained, what needs to be literally crossed over is not a physical ocean, it is the spiritual life. So the meaning of Pavjal therefore is actually spiritual life. Tarya literally is to cross over, but because we define Pavjal as spiritual life, so it is not about crossing over spiritual life, it is about conducting our spiritual life successfully. In other words, realizing the Creator. That is the ultimate objective of spirituality of the Shabad. Such refers to the Creator, and Suddhi literally is awareness, but in the context of spiritual life, Suddhi refers to enlightenment. So let's put them all together and come up with the translation or interpretation of this entire verse. Gurmukh Pavjal Tarye Sach Suddhi translates as the complete reality, which was the issue of the previous verse. The complete reality is that it is the spirituality of the Shabad that allows for successful conduct. Pavjal Tarya allows for the successful conduct of our spiritual life towards realizing the Creator, Sach Suddhi. Again, the context is coming from the previous verse. The complete reality was in relation to the verse Gurmukh Ashta Siddhi Sab Buddhi. Sab Buddhi was the complete reality. So this verse provides the complete reality and the source of the complete reality to be the spirituality of the Shabad. Let's move on to the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Gurmukh Sar Apsar Ved Jane. The translation given to us is the Gurmukh knows the ways of truth and untruth. So the critique of this translation is that Gurmukh is wrongly translated. Again, Gurmukh with a Sihari does not refer to individuals or people. In Sikh spirituality, it specifically refers to thoughts emanating from the depths of the spirituality of the Guru's mind. Guru de mukh vichon nikle hoye adesh, messages. So it refers to spirituality of the Shabd. So let's look at the words one by one. Gurmukh, as explained, spirituality of the Shabd. Sar means auspicious, and Apsar is the antonym of auspicious. It means non-auspicious or inauspicious. Ved, true knowledge, enlightenment in the context of spirituality. Jane is to obtain or to be able to provide ourselves with this enlightenment. Ved Jane. So let's put it all together, Gurmukh Pyareo, and this is the meaning of this verse. Gurmukh Sar Apsar Ved Jane translates as the spirituality of the Shabad provides enlightenment on auspiciousness and inauspiciousness pertaining to creation. Pertaining to creation is in blue because that's the context of the ongoing discourse. It's about creation. Pauri 30 and 31 is about the concept of creation. Now the Siddhs that Guru Nanak is conversing with and discoursing with, they have an understanding of creation in the sense that they are selective about accepting and renouncing creation. They are selective about considering what is good and acceptable in creation towards spiritual goals, and what is to be renounced and what is to be rejected on the path of spirituality towards spiritual goals. Now they also have a concept of what is auspicious, what is good, and what is inauspicious, what is bad when it comes to creation. So they consider, and they have told this to Guru Nanak already in their discourse in the earlier paurees, that family is inauspicious, home is inauspicious, society is inauspicious, civilization is bad, human endeavor, so much so that cooking food, that's a human endeavor, is considered an obstacle in the path of spirituality. So they don't cook. This is kanda mulchon cow. So they eat whatever is available to them in nature in the jungles. So that is the concept of auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. Now they also consider certain parts of creation to be auspicious. The uninhabited jungles are auspicious. So that's where they want to make their abode. They want to sit down there and discover Creator. In the uninhabited jungles, the caves are auspicious. Hollowed out trees. Now all these things are auspicious. So what Guru Nanak is telling them in this paurees and in this verse in particular is that the whole reality to what is auspicious and inauspicious is actually contained within the spirituality of the Shabad, and Guru Nanak is going to make clear to them in the remaining verses of the Shabad, in addition to what he has already said in the earlier verses, that the Creator is responsible for the entirety of creation and he is invested in the entirety of creation. So therefore there is no concept of selective acceptance, selective renunciation. There is no concept of inauspiciousness and auspiciousness pertaining to creation. So that's the meaning of this verse. Gurmukh sar apsar ved jane. The vidhi, the enlightenment of what is auspicious and inauspicious, is actually contained within the Shabad that is emanated from within the spiritual depths of the Guru's mind. Let's look at the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Gurmukh parvirta narvirta pachane. The translation given, the Gurmukh knows worldliness and renunciation. Again, the word Gurmukh is wrongly translated. So let's look at all the concepts, all the words in this verse one by one before we come up with a collective translation of the verse. Gurmukh, again the same verse, messages within the Shabad, spirituality of the Shabad. By now, Gurmukh Pyareo, it would have already dawned on all of us the importance of the spirituality of the Shabad. Guru Nanak has been repeatedly using this in close to the 8 or 9 previous paurees that we have discussed. In other words, the entirety of spirituality of Sikhi actually revolves or rotates around the spirituality of the Shabad. Why is that so? Because the spirituality of the Shabad actually contains messages that are derived from the depths of the spirituality of the Guru's mind. Guru de mukh vichon nikle hoye bachan Shabad de vich Paatshah ne darj karke sade samne pesh kite. So that is the cruciality, the centrality, the importance, the criticality of spirituality of the Shabad, and that is being narrated to or referred to here in these verses with the word Gurmukh, Guru de mukh vicho niklaya hoya Shabad. Parvirt means to accept, and narvirt means to renounce or literally to reject. So you can see the context developing. The yogis and the Siddhs are into selective accepting and selective renunciating. Pehchane literally means to recognize, but we have a, for instance, we have this idiom in Punjabi, "Hun mainu pehchan ho gayi." What it really means, I have now come to realize the truth. Hun mainu pehchan ho gayi ke sach ki hai te jhoot ki hai, ke asliyat ki hai. So that's how we're going to understand the word pehchane here. So in terms of what to renounce and what to accept, it really refers to enlightenment. So pehchane is enlightenment. So we put it all together, and this is the meaning of the verse Gurmukh Pyareo. Gurmukh parvirta narvirta pehchane means the spirituality of the Shabad, the Gurmukh, provides enlightenment relating to embracing and renouncing creation. So don't forget that the overall context is the Sidh point of view, that they embrace and renounce creation selectively. So Guru Nanak is saying that the enlightenment towards whether there is sense in selective embracing and selective renunciation actually is provided in the spirituality of the Shabad. So there is an implicit meaning In this verse, Gurmukh Pyareo, it means that all of creation in its entirety must be embraced, and none of creation can be or ought to be renounced in our spiritual journeys, in our spiritual processes. Let's look at the next verse, Gurmukh Pyareo. Gurmukh Tare Par Utare. The translation given to us is the Gurmukh crosses over and carries others across as well. We can have, or we can provide two critiques towards this sort of a translation. First, Gurmukh is again wrongly translated, literally translated, and secondly, this concept of carrying others across as well is not a Gurmat principle. Sikhi is a spirituality of the self, by the self, for the self, and this is very amply illustrated in Gurbani all over the places. I can give you two verses. Apana hathi apana ape hi kaj savariye. Spirituality of the self, for the self, by the self. Ape bij, ape hi kha. So it is very clear that we do not have this concept in Gurmat that we carry others across as well. So let's look at all the words here one by one. Gurmukh, again, spirituality of the Shabad, messages emanating from within the Guru's mind. Tare literally means to swim, but here, because we are talking about spirituality, the journey of spirituality, it refers to spiritual process, the conduct of our spirituality. Par, again, literally means across, in the literal sense, in the physical sense, but again, because we are talking about spirituality, it refers to the end goal, the destination, the point where we actually want to go. So it would mean the spiritual destination. Utare literally saves, but in the context of spirituality, Tare means a successful journey, a successful process. So we put it all together, and this is the meaning of the verse. Gurmukh Tare Par Utare translates as spirituality of the Shabd takes me to my destination, which is realization of the Creator within. So the implicit meaning here is that Guru Nanak is saying that the achievement of the spiritual objective does not lie in selective acceptance, selective renunciation, in selective consideration of creation as auspicious and other parts of creation as inauspicious, the selective acceptance and rejection of creation. Rather, it lies in the entirety, the embrace of the entirety of creation. And where is that enlightenment coming from? That enlightenment is coming from within the messages of the Shabad. It is known as the spirituality of the Shabad. And it is those messages that in the end, in the ultimate analysis, bring about realization of the Creator within in the real sense of the term. We cannot realize the Creator within if we engage in selective acceptance and rejection of creation. It has to be embraced in total. So let's look at the final verse of Pauri 31. Gurmukh Pyareo, it's Nanak Gurmukh Shabad Nistare. The translation given to us, O Nanak, the Gurmukh is emancipated through the Shabad. So the critique that we have again is that the word Gurmukh with the Sihari is being wrongly translated. So let's now move on to look at the words one by one. Again, Gurmukh refers to messages emanating from within the Guru's mind, messages within the Shabad, spirituality of the Shabad. Shabad with a Sihari again refers to the enlightenment within the Shabad's messages. Nistare means successful outcome, and the outcome has already been defined in the previous verses, that is realization of the Creator within. What we need to understand is that Gurmukh means the spirituality of the Shabad, and Guru Nanak Padsha repeats the Shabad again with the Syari in the same verse next to each other. So this makes it very clear that the spirituality of the Shabad, Gurmukh, actually has its origins in the messages within the Shabad. Gurmukh Shabad. The spirituality of the Shabad is rooted in the messages within the Shabad. Shabad with the Syari. So let's put all this together and see if we can come up with one complete meaning of this verse. Nanak Gurmukh Shabad Nistare means Nanak, the spirituality of the Shabad creates realization of the Creator within through the enlightenment within the Shabad. In other words, the spirituality of the Shabad actually it's all about being enlightened. So where is the enlightenment? Where is the enlightenment of the spirituality of the Shabad? Where is the enlightenment that guides the spirituality of the Shabad? That enlightenment is located within the messages of the Shabad that is contained in the 1429 pages of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, also known as Gurbani. So Gurmukh Pyareo, there are some core takeaway messages that we can distill from the two paurees that we have understood. The importance of the Shabad, that's the first takeaway message. The entire spirituality of Sikhi is centered, based and anchored on the messages within the Shabad. The instruction, the direction and the goal of spirituality of a Sikh is set by referring to the messages within the Shabad. That is the meaning of spirituality of the Shabad. The second takeaway point is regarding creation, that creation in Sikhi is to be embraced. In Sikhi, creation is to be embraced in its entirety. Creation is not to be embraced in a selective manner in which we accept some parts of creation and renounce certain parts of creation. That is not a Sikhi principle. In Sikhi, creation must be embraced in total, not in selective part. The reason why creation must be embraced in total is because creation in totality is created by the Creator, and the Creator is invested as the life force in the entirety of the creation. In fact, in Sikhi, the place of abode of the Creator within us is within the entirety of creation. Farida khalq khalq mein khalq vasa Rabb mahe. The Creator created the entirety of creation. The Creator invested Himself in the entirety of creation, and the Creator is the force that drives the entirety of creation from the point of creation to the point of destruction. Polachok di khema karni Gurmukh Pyareo. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure discussing these paurees with you. Gaj baj ke fateh bulao. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa. Vaheguru ji ki fateh.